Matterhorn. There's a lot to say about this ride. I'm likely gonna get something wrong or not cover everything. I'm sure there's other videos delving a lot deeper into the history and significance of this ride, but not me. I'm going off the cusp and just telling y'all what I think about this ride. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them a review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. Sup, Mickey? What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is a channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today, in my never-ending journey to rank and review every single coaster I have ever been on, we're going to be talking about Matterhorn Bobsleds at Disneyland. But real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to anybody that is subscribed. You guys are awesome. And to anybody that's not subscribed, you better subscribe or else the Yeti will get you in your sleep. What do I mean by get you? I don't know, maybe he'll get you a glass of water or something. Or he'll rip your arms off, one or the other. Now, Matterhorn was the first roller coaster built at Disneyland and the first tubular steel roller coaster built in the world. Matterhorn was built in 1959 and consists of 2 separate tracks. And yes, I do consider this to be 2 coasters, even though it is 1 attraction. In my opinion, both the left and the right side, also known as the Tomorrowland and Fantasyland sides of the track, are relatively different and provide a unique experience of their own. But I'll get into more of that later. Now, throughout the years, Matterhorn has incurred a lot of changes, including some upgrades in theming, changes to the bobsleds themselves, and various other operational changes, such as the inclusion and then removal of FastPass. And while I'm not exactly sure what the Disney purists out there think, I think the upgrades throughout the years have definitely served this ride well. Now, being that Matterhorn is a Disney attraction, you can of course expect a plethora of on-ride theming throughout this coaster, although compared to other Disney attractions, it isn't the most heavily themed. Matterhorn Bobsleds is obviously themed to Matterhorn Mountain, and in addition to the impressive facade of the mountain itself, there is theming all throughout the interior of this ride and a little bit on the exterior as well. You have some beautiful pine trees surrounding the mountain, you have waterfalls cascading off of it, and the queue itself is lightly Swiss themed. In addition to this ride having really great theming, I think this is one of the best family coasters out there because it provides thrills for more seasoned coaster riders such as myself, although it's very accessible for first-time coaster riders or anyone that might not be interested in something more thrilling. And while this ride can kind of throw you around, it is not rough per se, it is just a little jostly, if that's a word. It's not, but it's jostly. But enough blabbering, let's go through the ride experience, shall we? Your journey on Matterhorn Bobsleds starts with you loading into your bobsled, of course, which has relatively unique single file seating with 3 riders per car and 6 riders per train. And this is one of the first things that I remember being a major improvement as far as the upgrades go. These trains used to be single file seating, but you would have to lapse it. I remember when I rode this with my older sister, there was a time where I started getting close to her height, but I still had to sit in front of her, and my head would sometimes smack her in the face. So these trains, big improvement for not getting your face smacked. Once you're in your bobsled, you'll move forward from the loading station, do some last safety checks, and then you'll get dispatched into the mountain. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Matterhorn does have 2 separate tracks. So the exact order in which you'll experience all the things that I'm going to talk about will vary depending on which side you're sitting on, but both do more or less have the same elements. So I'll kind of just be going over more of the general ride experience as opposed to a specific ride experience for either side. Anyway, you're into the mountain. It is just about pitch black, which is really cool. And as you make your way up the lift, you can look to your side and you see some ice. The ice is glowing a light blue color, and through it you can kind of see the outline of a Yeti that is moving and following you. You can't see him clearly, but you can see him well enough for it to be intimidating, and I love this effect. As you make your way to the top of the lift, you'll hear some growling coming from the Yeti as well, further contributing to that theming. When you look to the left, you'll see a bobsled that has crashed and is all mangled. And with there being two separate tracks, not only do you get two different ride experiences, but since the tracks are side by side for a lot of the ride or crossing over or under each other, there is a potential for actually dueling on this coaster. It's not technically supposed to duel, I don't think, but it is definitely a thing that can happen and does heighten the ride experience. So remember how I said I was going to forget stuff? I'm likely going to get something wrong or not cover everything. Yeah, no, I literally forgot about the first Yeti, so I'm just going to use the stuff that I said about the second Yeti for the first Yeti now. But this time he's not behind a block of ice, and with this encounter with a Yeti, you're actually interacting with an animatronic, and this animatronic is really fun. It's nothing too complex because you're flying by it like that, but it does look really good and very convincing, so I definitely enjoy this more than the screen beforehand. After that, you're sent back outdoors, and that's kind of something that this ride does. It transitions from being in those ice caves to popping you back outside, and it's a nice contrast, not only to have some darkness and then brightness to just play with your senses, but it also kind of adds to your sense of speed and intensity to have the cave opening up and closing in around you. So it's really nice that it's not just entirely indoors or entirely outdoors. After that, you traverse through quite a few dips and turns, and that's pretty much this coaster's bread and butter as far as the coaster experience goes. There's not really any big drops on this ride, so you aren't gonna come out of your seat or feel your stomach dropping. But like I mentioned before, you do get a really good sense of speed, and since you have all these turns, you are getting some nice laterals. Some of the turns are banked, some of them aren't, and you're getting fun transitions from left to right. It's a really fun experience, although it isn't anything too intense. So after turning back and forth, flying around the other track, maybe passing by a bobsled or two, you're gonna dip into a pitch black tunnel and have your second encounter with the Yeti himself. But you do unfortunately pass by him very quickly, going into more outdoor and indoor transitions, and even pass by a couple waterfalls. Now the coaster does have a little more speed in your post-Yeti ride, but additionally you do have fewer turns, so you're gaining some speed, but losing some diversity. And after one last crossover of the other track, you're gonna head into the ride's finale, which is an incredibly fun splashdown. The ride doesn't go straight into the water and stay straight before coming out like other splashdowns do, like SheiKra at Busch Gardens Tampa or Diamondback at Kings Island, but there is a little bit of a bunny hill in there. It doesn't provide much airtime, but it is definitely really unique. And in an additional difference to other splashdowns on other coasters, this one actually might get you wet. It is almost comparable to a log ride when you don't get that wet. So you'll most likely get misted, but on some rides, I have to admit, I've gotten pretty wet from this splashdown. So if it's a colder day, keep your fingers crossed that you're not going to get too wet. And also just a little fun fact about this splashdown. While yes, it is a really fun ride element and it does just contribute to the enjoyment of the ride, the element was actually added to cool down the braking system on this ride. The brake pads are on the bottom of the train and they rub up against brakes all throughout the ride. So in order to meet the high demands of Disney throughput and being run on the track constantly, the brakes need to go through this water just to cool down a bit. Really interesting for this element to have more than one purpose. After the splashdown, you hit a couple more small turns and hit the final brake run. And honestly, if you're not smiling after this ride, I'm gonna have to question what's wrong with you, because my goodness, this is just a fun ride. Even if you like really thrilling rides, or even if you don't particularly care for coasters all that much at all, I think you're gonna like this ride. I don't think I've met a single person that has been on it and was like, yeah, that ride is just not good. No, I mean, this is a classic. Now, to get back to something I mentioned earlier, of the two tracks, I think the Tomorrowland side is significantly better. Why is that? Well, it's nothing quantifiable, really. I mean, all my reviews are opinion-based, so nothing really is. But it's not like I can say, oh, well, it has more drops or an extra airtime hill or something. The one thing that I can say I notice as a difference is the pacing. While the entire layout of both sides just consists of turns and small drops, For whatever reason, the Tomorrowland side just goes through all the elements so much quicker. I don't know if it has tighter turns, I don't know if it has a higher top speed or what, but the sense of speed is so much greater. And if you're someone that has the opportunity to ride both sides, I encourage you to focus specifically on that sense of speed and pacing when you ride either side, and I think you'll agree too. So, what do I give this attraction on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, it is honestly very, very good. This rating may not exactly match up with where I rank this coaster, but for what it is, which is an incredible family coaster that is accessible and enjoyable to everybody, I have to give it an 8 out of 10. Is this going to be anyone's favorite coaster? Well, maybe. Not even gonna hate. Is it going to rank low for someone that specifically likes intensity? Yeah, probably, but they're still going to have fun on it. I think all things considered, this is a darn near perfect coaster for everybody to enjoy. Where does that place it amongst the 227 other coasters that I have been on? Well, this is where the difference between the two sides is going to come into play, because I rank the inferior Fantasyland side at 88. But I put the Tomorrowland side all the way at 75. But overall, both coasters are amazing and sit comfortably in the upper half of other coasters that I've ranked, with one side above and one side below Wavebreaker, and not too far below some really good thrill coasters. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know which side of Matterhorn you guys prefer, or if you don't think there's a difference. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you disliked the video, don't even bother giving the video a dislike because YouTube isn't going to show it. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. And make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about... I can just do the review right now. It's boring and shaky and not really any point in writing it. Another spin? But like... which one? I'll tell you what, we'll do a coin toss. Heads is Batman the Ride B&M invert clones, and tails is Batman the Ride, referring to 40 free spins. Tails. Alrighty, bye.